Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for our Demand Tools overview. My name is Jennifer Ranella. I'm a Customer Onboarding Manager here at Validity. Today, we're going to be discussing at a very high level all of the different modules in Demand Tools and what can be accomplished in them. We're probably going to spend most of our time looking at some slides and detailing those out. We'll take a quick look at the modules, and at the end of our course today, we're going to go over where you can access some more in-depth training for each of these modules, whether it be live training or on demand, and even where the help documentation is at. Remember that everybody is in listen-only mode, so we're going to be communicating today through that Q&A box in the Zoom panel. If you could please focus your questions there and not in the chat, that helps me keep track of what I have and haven't answered. So if you can put them in there, that would be great. And please feel free to ask questions at any time. Questions are always welcomed. Okay, let's take a look at the Today page of Demand Tools, which you're seeing right now. This is in essence our home screen. Over to the left, we'll see all of our modules, and we'll notice that they're in three separate sections. We have maintenance modules, we have cleansing modules, and we have a discovery module. Maintenance is really where we're going to do data manipulation. So where we can standardize, fill in values, different things like that, right? Maintaining current data. Cleansing is going to be merging or converting. I was trying to say those two words at the same time. And then discovery is our fact-finding tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our slides and we'll get moving. So we're going to start today in mass impact. We notice that that's our first maintenance module. Okay, mass impact can update hundreds or hundreds of thousands of existing records, right, without importing or exporting. So in essence, what this does, we query data from Salesforce, right? Maybe the condition is the records that are owned by Jen. And then that pulls it into mass impact where we tell it how to manipulate it, and then it sends it right back to Salesforce in an updated fashion. Okay, we have many ways that we can manipulate that data. We can hard code a value. We can copy data from one field and put it in another. We can use formulas to change that data. And we can also populate a field with a count of specified sub-objects or some numbers on the related sub-objects, right? So sum the amount field on the opportunities and put it in a field on the accounts, for instance. We do have pre-built scenarios for mass impact. So if you were in that module and you selected load, you would see those. Really quickly, I'm going to talk about formulas just a little bit more. We do have a doc specifically on mass impact formulas. You'll notice that these are all of our pre-built formulas here. Gives a little bit of an idea of what they do, but if you really wanted to understand a little bit more, you would click on that one and it'll tell you what it does, right? This one trims all leading spaces. This one trims all trailing spaces, trims all leading and trailing, right? And then gives you some examples of those formulas. Obviously, the full in-depth training on mass impact will focus a little bit on a few formulas. It's not going to go over every single one. There's just not enough time in that training to go over every single formula value. Let's head back to mass impact. Let's go ahead and go into mass impact so you can see. So I have a scenario loaded here. Okay, this is what it looks like. This is actually 3 steps, mass impact. If you head to step 2, our conditioning is on the top, and then you'll notice this is what we call a zip code clean. It's basically adding those leading zeros back to your zip code, so it makes sure that every zip code is 5 characters. And this is really great for those New England states. You can see our condition here. If I were to click load scenario at the bottom left, you're going to notice anything that starts with DT23, you will already have that. So if you're in mass impact and you click load scenario, you're going to see these pre-built scenarios that ship with the tool. You can do a lot with mass impact. The other nice thing about mass impact is that you can schedule it to run using Job Builder. So you can either use our tool called Job Builder, which is an easy to use interface that schedules using the Windows Task Scheduler, or you can set it up in the Windows Task Scheduler yourself. It's just a more lengthy process to set it up individually in the Task Scheduler, but that can be automated to run. So really, what you could do is you can create many standardization scenarios in mass impact, right? Maybe you have something that spells your countries out, proper case is the account name, makes the states 2 characters, whatever it might be, and then automate those to run so that your data stays cleansed without you having to put your hands on it, right? Run it every morning at 2 a.m. or something like that. Okay, we're going to be moving on to mass effect. So if there's any questions about mass impact, now's a really great time for that. All right, I'm going to keep going since we only have 30 minutes. So mass effect is the ultimate data loading tool. Now, Mass Effect does action upon data that already exists. However, it's slightly different than the other maintenance modules in that you can also insert new data using Mass Effect. If you've used Data Loader before, Mass Effect is similar, but it does have some additional functionality that the Data Loader does not have. And again, if we can write our questions in the Q&A box and not the chat, that will be helpful as well. Job wants to know, can the copy of this PowerPoint be provided later? I believe we have it out on our, we might not. You know, I'll show you where the recorded training of this is, Jalpa, and I can probably send you a copy of this without any, with no problem, I should say. All right, let me just write your name down so I don't forget it. Okay, all right, Debbie, I gotcha, thanks. Okay, oops, I think we have some, yeah, that's what I thought. All right, Chiquita, I got you. Everybody's, just so everybody knows, everybody's saying, I want a copy too, I want a copy too. Satish, was that you saying you want a copy too? I just saw you raise your hand. And I see Ali raising their hand too. Okay. Satish. All right. Okay, great, guys. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead. I got you guys, Kiana. Yeah, everyone. Okay. I was just writing the names down. Tamara. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. I'll just send it to everybody. How's that? Well, I'll just blanket send it to everybody. If you don't want it, you can ignore it. And if you need it, you'll have it. Okay. Great, guys. Thanks for that. Okay, so Mass Effect. Again, it can do data manipulation with the existing data, right? But it also can insert data. So like I said, it's similar to the data loader. It just has increased functionality. Okay, now we do have full support in Mass Effect for advanced file types, and it also includes bulk API options. So advanced file types would be both types of Excel, both types of Access, UDL, tab, CSV. Okay, so all of those formats are supported in Mass Effect. Additionally, if you're inserting or updating hundreds of thousands of records using the bulk API, it will really save time. It'll send it over in larger batches and be less API calls. Okay, so in Mass Effect, you can update, insert, upsert, export, delete, and undelete. Now, Mass Effect requires that external spreadsheet in order to update, insert, upsert, delete, or undelete. Of course, export is just like running a report in Salesforce, so we don't need a file for that. Okay, the other nice thing about Mass Effect, like I kind of stated when we were talking about Data Loader, is that you can apply formulas. So instead of me sitting in my spreadsheet and standardizing the data in my spreadsheet, right, proper casing the first name and the last name and making the states 2 characters and the country spelled out, whatever those parameters are for your org, what I can do is I can load it into Mass Effect and apply formulas on insert or update, right? So I can map a field, right, map the country field, and then right click and say country match long, so it will spell it out. So that saves me time from cleansing that spreadsheet before I actually import it. You can also add constant values, and by that I mean, let's say I want to add something to the description field as I'm updating records from a spreadsheet, right? JR update 1022. I can just right click, say add a constant. I don't have to actually put that in my spreadsheet. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Mass Effect. So I've already loaded a spreadsheet here. You can see it just has 8 records. These are accounts. And over to the right are my operations, right, where I can use bulk API, or I can select whether I'm updating, inserting, upserting. So if my fields were mapped like this, we might see something like right click, transform, proper case, right? Right click, add constant. And again, the detailed class for Mass Effect will give you more details about about this, right? It'll be, go through all of the different things, but you can see where you can standardize those items as you're moving forward. Okay. All right, that's Mass Effect. Questions on that? It's a great time for that because we're going to be moving on to Power Grid next. Jalpa wants to know for Upsert, does it follow same restrictions as standard data loader or it has any extra to offer? I'm not sure. I'm not a data loader expert, Jalpa. I've used it before, but I've been a user of Mass Effect for going on 8 years now, so I very rarely use data loader. You get used to what you get used to. We do have the ability to use an external key, just like the data loader. I don't think that we have any additional functionality when it comes to Upsert. I mean, besides the obviously using those right-click standardizations and constants and things like that. That's different than data loader, but we do have the ability to use an external key. Okay. All right, so Power Grid. I like to tell people if you've been in our tools before, you're not a brand new user, and maybe you've just been in this single table dedupe, right? Which is a nice big lengthy module, but a lot of people start there. They think that's all that DemandTools has to offer. Power Grid is a really great tool to kind of see things in a small way. For instance, I could pull in a subset of records and view in a broad way what's really happening in my org, right? Instead of kind of clicking on each record in Salesforce. So Power Grid is an easy to use grid. It looks somewhat like Excel, but it doesn't have the exact functionality. It has some, they're not exactly the same, but it's very similar to building a spreadsheet. So you'd set a condition, I want to look at leads, in the state of South Carolina, and then you can manipulate that data doing different things, right? So you can update records. You can either do one-off changes, or you could hard code values, or you can even use easy to use formulas in Power Grid that are similar to formulas in Mass Impact. There doesn't have the full capability of Mass Impact, but there are some quick right-click formulas to standardize data. You can delete records in the grid. You can merge accounts, contacts, or leads directly in the grid. You can also convert leads, right? So I can convert leads to an existing contact or an existing account or a new contact and new account. I can also link contacts and leads to campaigns. So there's all kinds of things. Power Grid also allows you to create filter sets or data sets to look for junk data or bad email addresses, right? Fields that have, 5 consonants in a row or 5 vowels, just junk data. So you can segment and sort in Power Grid to view things a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and take a look at Power Grid. So in my grid here, I just have a list of leads, but we can see these different leads. So just really quickly, it's a fairly simple module. And again, the training will take you into a greater depth of detail with this, but I could highlight the first name, right click, say proper case. We'll notice all of these got proper case. If I hover, it used to be J in all lowercase, right? Maybe the state should be spelled out, state match long, right? Proper case, the city. So there's kind of these real quick click things, or I could, double click on a field and say this is, change it by typing like that. Maybe a lead source field, which is a pick list. I can right click and edit, change it, right? Maybe I want to merge these, so I highlight them, right click, and I say merge rows. So there's all kinds of things that you can do in here, from merging to adding to fields. Okay, make sure you guys, if you could type your questions in the Q&A box. It's really hard for me to keep track of this chat because it's getting really lengthy now. So if we can just ask those questions in the Q&A box, that would really help me out. Thanks. Does it allow find and replace as well? That's a really great question. It absolutely does. You can right click and say find replace in column or in grid, and you can tell it what you're looking for, right? Am I looking in the email? Am I looking in the entire grid? So you absolutely can do find replace all. You can match case, you can do an exact match, all those types of things. Okay. But I would like to point out Power Grid is generally, we like to tell people 20,000 or less records. And that's not because it can't handle it, but you can see this is a little more manual. This is not a module that you can schedule to run because it requires me looking at it and deciding how I want to manipulate that data. Okay. Okay. Reassign ownership. So reassign ownership does exactly what it sounds like it does. It mass transfers the ownership of records and related sub-objects in a single pass, okay? So we can do basic one-to-one reassignments, reassign all Jen's accounts to Ashley. We can utilize what we call match steps to redistribute records based on a defined criteria. For instance, if the account is in the state of South Carolina, it should go to Jen. If it's in North Carolina, it should go to Ashley. If it's in Arizona, it should be assigned to Kelly. So you can distribute using different match steps. You can also distribute records amongst several users. Okay, just like I talked about there. And distribute might be, okay, select a subset of records and 30% should go to one person and 20 should go to another, and the remaining 50 a third separate person. Okay. We can also update sub-object records to match parent object owner. So what we can do is you can, if you have, we used to have this thing when I was an admin where whoever owned the account should own the contacts and anything open. So open ops, open cases, future events, things like that. And a lot of times those would get all misaligned. So you can just run a pass using reassign ownership to realign all of those sub-objects to match the parent owner, right? The account owner, okay? You can also decide to reassign records just owned by inactive users. We have some questions here. I'm going to take a look real quick. Can the filter be assigned via child-parent record criteria? The filter is going to be assigned based on the parent. So if I say I'm working on accounts, that's what the filter criteria is going to be, or what the condition would be. So the child assignment is going to be based on the parent assignment, JALPA. So when you say if the parent record is in New Jersey, the child go to a certain queue, it doesn't work like that. It's going to be based on the realignment of the records or the object that you're working on. So if I'm working on account, those sub-objects are going to be related to wherever that. I understand what you're saying. The determination is not, you don't decide how the child records are going to be realigned. You decide how the master object, whatever object you're working on, is going to be reassigned. So if I'm working on accounts, that's how those sub-objects are going to be reassigned, not based on criteria. Now you can work your way through those. So if I started with contacts for reassignment, we could work our way through that way. But that sub-object assignment or related object assignment is based on whatever object you're working on. I'll show you that in a minute when we get in there. Okay, let's take a look at reassign ownership real quick. Okay, so you can see the object that I'm working with is accounts, okay? And I've set some criteria here based on owner. Step 2, I'm basically just reassigning sub-objects to match parent object ownership here, okay? But it's all based on whatever object I am working on at the time. And then the match steps, or however we determine who's going to own what, is based on the account, because the account is what I selected there in step 1. So if you did have some more complex criteria, what you would do, JALPA, is on step 1, you would start with contact, and then you would reassign that based on those match steps. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving on to bulk backup and report edit. We're going to focus on bulk backup here. Everybody has access to bulk backup. If you're using the 64-bit version of DemandTools, and hopefully you are, you actually can't access mass backup. You'll notice it'll tell you to use bulk backup. If you're using 32-bit, you can access both of them. Mass backup only writes to ACCDB, which can be a little bit of an issue because it sometimes can lose data in certain kinds of fields. So I think we're probably going to be eliminating that at some point in the near future and just relying on bulk backup across the module. So we're going to focus there. It's a very simple module. It creates a backup of sales source data on your local PC, right? And we can select all objects or individual objects. It's very simple. It can be scheduled to run. You'll notice that I have all of these selected here. I can also select none, and I can just pull a couple. Okay, and then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a directory or a folder to put it in, and each of these objects will be a separate CSV file. Okay, we can save these scenarios and we can automate them to run. So if you want to back up your database 3 times a day, you can automate this to run on its own. It's a fairly simple module. Now, report edit provides access to all customer Salesforce and this should say custom, sorry. It's custom Salesforce reports, allowing users to rename reports, update the descriptions, move the reports to different folders, or delete reports. Yeah, what you're going to have, Jalpa wants to know if you can import back from the backup directly. Yeah, you're going to have separate files, and you would use those to update using Mass Effect, those separate files. It would take a while because you're going to have to do them one by one, but yeah, it can be done. That's what they're for. But it's not a one-stop where you just throw it in and it's automatically. You have to update them using those separate files. Okay, let's take a look at report edit. It's a fairly simple module as well. You'll notice when you get the data, you can set a condition, but the fields are just standard and set. So you'll notice you can see the last run date, right? Last reference, all of these things that would be there. And from here, what I could do is I could move this to a different folder, right? Or I can double click and change the name or the description of this, right? Or I can change the name of the report. So basically I can edit the name or the description. I can change where which folder it goes to. I can also select it to delete. So I could highlight this and say mark it for deletion. Okay, it's a fairly simple module. These little red pins mean that this is attached to a dashboard, this report, which means I cannot delete it. If I right click here, it's going to tell me what the link dashboard is, and I can see the report in Salesforce or view the report details. Okay. It's a nice way to clean up the mess that reports can get to with all the users creating different items. Okay, single table dedupe. This is probably our most common module and the reason why people purchase DemandTools, but it finds and merges records within an object, right? So it merges accounts and contacts and contacts, so on and so forth, right? So we can merge standard and custom objects. We have complete control of our duplicate definition. We can apply master rules and field rules, advanced merge controls. We can also merge from duplicate warnings, Salesforce's duplicate management warnings, or merge from a spreadsheet. Okay, now this class is two classes. So it's single table dedupe fundamentals and then single table dedupe advanced concepts. It's 2 hours in total of training. There's a lot of options in there, and it's really important that you understand everything that's happening, because we know when we merge that we want to make sure that everything merges how we want, right? That we keep the data that we're expecting to retain, right? And that everything happens as we want it to. So really understanding that module in its entirety is really important. Single table dedupe comes with pre-built scenarios. So you'll notice these, what is this, 6, 7 objects here: account, case, contact, lead, opportunity, solution, and task. We have pre-built scenarios for all of these. Okay, so if we open those, you guys already have those. That's what we ship with our tool. Okay, so it's always nice. You can start with those, flesh them out a little bit so they work better for your org, and work from there. Nice robust module where you detail out your conditions, the fields you want to match on, and then you'll see your grid of duplicate matches. And over to the right are some additional options. This is all the good stuff, right? The things that happen when merging and how you can really define how you want things to occur. Can these custom scenarios reports be shared across other developers of same org? When you say custom scenarios, Jalpa, I'm not sure what you mean. If you create something custom, you absolutely can. They're just saved as files on your hard drive in the DemandTools data folder, and you can pass them via email. I'll show everyone at the end of class how you can view how you can sign up for the live training tomorrow, and how you can see the on-demand. Okay. All right, let's move on to lead conversion. So lead conversion matches your existing leads to your existing contacts and accounts. And lead conversion can be very robust, where you match to contacts and then accounts, and whatever you don't find, you mass lead convert, so new contact, new account. Or it can be just one piece, right? I only want to see if my existing leads are existing contacts, right? Or if my leads are existing accounts. Or I just want to mass lead convert a subset of leads, okay? You can convert leads from a spreadsheet, from duplicate warnings, from a specific campaign, okay? You also can match leads to accounts and update a custom account field. So what that actually means is we can populate the account ID on your leads. And you need to have the custom account field, right? So you would need to create your own account field to push that data into. This is a very robust module as well. It's 4 screens. It's the largest of all of them. There's a lot of data in here. We do ship this with a sample scenario. Okay, so if you were to click load scenario, you're going to see this one right here called sample lead conversion scenario. The rest of these are things that I've manipulated, but you already have that one here. So it's a nice place to start to load that so that you can see all of the different options and this match steps. There's a lot of information in this module. Okay, but again, it allows that cross object, so it's a conversion, right? The lead gets converted into the existing contact, the lead gets converted into a new contact on an existing account, or the lead gets converted into a brand new contact and account. Okay. Okay, and our last one here is find report IDs. So find report IDs is in the discovery section because it is a fact-finding tool, right? So it's going to compare data in a spreadsheet to data in Salesforce, okay? So some common use cases for find report IDs, we find the contacts for a list of account IDs, right? How many contacts are associated with this account ID, right? We can find all close won opportunities for a list of account IDs, right? We can pull back a list of additional fields for a list of object IDs. We can find all campaigns linked to a list of contacts or leads, okay? We don't recommend comparing people lists in find report IDs. It can absolutely do it. It's just that people import is really a better product for that specific purpose. It's just an easier way to find that data. Okay, so we'll take a look at find report IDs real quick. Okay, so I've loaded a spreadsheet. I've looked at some fields. I set a condition if I have it, and then I created how I want to match the data from my spreadsheet to the data in Salesforce. Find report IDs is designed to give you an export of results. Okay, it's not going to manipulate or update any data. It's just fact finding. So it's going to export the results that it finds. We do not have any size limitations at all, JALPA. How this works is it's a software. Okay, and so you need to have available memory for it to access. The more memory you have available for DemandTools to access, the quicker it'll run. Of course, it's also pulling data from Salesforce, so we need a strong internet connection, and we need the Salesforce API to be moving quickly. So if things are slow, we either need to somehow obtain more memory, right? A larger laptop, something so that you have more, more memory to access, or running off hours. Sometimes the Salesforce API is slow during the day, right? And making sure that we have as robust of an internet connection that we could possibly have. We have people that run DemandTools on big, huge computers and process millions of records in a couple of minutes. Okay, so it's really not the software that's the slowdown. It's just, what you're running it on. Okay. You can use bulk API in this one as well. Okay, it starts in the very first screen. So we have that option, which can speed things up as well. Okay, so those are all of our modules. Now let's take a look at where we can actually see the trainings for these. So hopefully you've written down a few things about the modules. Okay. So on our home screen here, our today page, we have tech support. This is how you log a case. Okay, you can also email support@validity.com. Okay. The second tile here is live training. This is where you can view all of our live trainings. Okay, so find report IDs as on Wednesday. It'll tell you what we cover. It'll allow you to register here in the bottom left. You can also click on this for an on-demand find report IDs class, and I'll show you where all of those are located in one moment. So those are all of our live trainings. That's nice because you can ask questions. Okay, if we head into self-help, you're going to see online help, which we were at before when we were looking at those formulas. That's where it'll take you out to that document. Okay, you also have the Validity community. Please go into the Validity community and check it out. There's all kinds of data in here. Now, you do need to register. You can't just log in with your Salesforce username and password. We don't have that security feature, right? But you're going to create a user. So if you go to click on one of those on-demand recordings, it'll probably take you here where you can click on not a member, and then you can register, right? We need your email and your company name so we can verify your customer. It's a customer-only community. Okay, but once you've created and you've logged in here, which I'm going to do right now, Okay. So in the community, we're going to have all kinds of resources. Okay, so you're going to see here on the first screen, you've got your help documents to the right. You can log a case. You can view that live training calendar. You're also going to have links to all the products in the middle, discussions. These are the most current discussions that are happening right now. My feed is going to be anything that you've been involved in, whether you've asked a question or answered a question. Okay, at the top of the screen, you're going to see training resources. And this is where you're going to view all of our training. So when you see training, that's going to be our on-demand public trainings. They're an hour in length. If you see tutorial, these are going to be shorter, 10 minutes or less. Okay, the overviews, this is what we're looking at, DemandTools module functionality. That's today's class. Okay, we have quick login tutorials, and then we have some product suite overviews and different overview videos. These are a little bit shorter. I think they're around 20 minutes or so. Okay, but that's where you can view all of the on-demand information. Jalpa, our live trainings are completely free to our customers. You can feel free to attend as many and as often as you'd like. Okay. Hi, Frankie. We're just going over DemandTools functionality today. We're not doing Job Builder. So we haven't done any scheduled jobs, but you should take the Job Builder training. I believe it's Thursday of this week. It's actually coming up very close, or you can watch an on-demand Job Builder training. Okay. Thanks, Satish. Have a good one. All right, so that is today's class. We're about a minute over, so I apologize. Again, that's just a high-level overview. The deep dives into them will be your public training. Remember, you can take them live and ask questions or watch them on demand. I appreciate you joining me today. It's been great to have you in class. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions that anybody might have, but I appreciate you joining me. Feel free to have the rest of your day back and have a great and wonderful week. Thanks again.